Good afternoon. I spoke with Governor Paterson both on last night and this morning before his press conference. I think that his decision, though it was certainly painful for him and his family, I think it was a decision that showed that he wanted to put the interests of the state of New York and the citizens and what he has tried to achieve above partisan politics, and to be able to focus on finishing his agenda in the legislature. As most of you know, last night I met with both State Senator John Sampson and Malcolm Smith, among others. We're concerned about the continuation of a legislative agenda that will continue to make the state solvent in terms of the economy of the state, in terms of jobs creations, in terms of education reform, because this is something National Action Network and I have committed a lot of time to, as well as minority and women businesses. And I think that in the 308 days left in the Paterson administration, we must be committed and focused to that. I spoke today with Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, and I would hope that we all will be meeting with African American leadership and others to continue to focus on that legislative agenda. Tomorrow, the Latino and Black elected officials, we will have a luncheon meeting at Sylvia's at noon that I've called on to talk about how we go forward and unite the party for the state elections, because the last thing we need is a lot of internal bickering and fighting and internal party fratricide that will lead to a Republican win. I think that the people of this state should be mindful of the contributions this governor has made in the areas of education, in the areas of making the economy of the state solvent in the worst economic times. And I might remind people, he was one that inherited this governorship with no warning from his predecessor. I think that he has had an unusual and unprecedented barrage of innuendo and rumor, and has withstood it as he's withstood many things through his life. His life story of overcoming odds is something exemplary and should not be forgotten at this hour. So as I spoke to him late last night and today, I encourage him as a friend to let's focus on the 308 days going forward. Let us finish the agenda, and let us make sure that whoever is to replace him continues the agenda for the people of the state, and we'll begin discussing that tomorrow at the meeting. There will be a time for politics one day. Right now, we must continue the agenda of education and job creation and other things, and the party must make sure that it's focused on policy and message before it gets focused on politics.
When you spoke to him, you said you encouraged him. Did you and other Democrats, was this a decision that he came to on his own, or was he somewhat pushed by you and other Democrats?
David Paterson always makes decisions on his own. Many of us expressed to him our point of view, but at the end of the day, he always makes his own decision, and I'm sure with his wife, he made his final decisions. What our advice to him was to him, and it serves no purpose to discuss that publicly.
Can you talk a little bit more about your conversation with the Attorney General, and
I think that he has a job to do. Clearly, there are certain criminal justice matters that are of concern to us. There are certain matters that we'd already been discussing. He also has to deal with other matters, and that I told him that I would hope in the near future that all of us can talk as we continue to move in that direction in terms of the legislation and other things in the state. There'll be a time also to deal with politics. I think that now is the time to deal with making sure the people don't suffer, and that we don't end up with a lot of posturing and political infighting.
Although people will certainly look to you, for some guidance. I mean, if he should become the Democratic nominee, which is widely expected, would you support him?
First of all, he hasn't announced he's running. Second of all, it is premature to talk about that. And I think that I would leave politics for another day. I really want to focus on what the governor and Mr. Cuomo and others have been trying to focus on for the people of the state. I don't even want to crack jokes today.
You mentioned possible infighting. I'm wondering if the Attorney General's investigation into Paterson and the result of that could be a factor in how people judge him in the year going forward and possibly in a gubernatorial race.
That was a very shrewd way to ask what she just asked, and I'm not answering her, so I would not answer you.
Then
Even though you have on a wool cap and
Thank you.
I promise not to joke today.
If I could just ask one follow-up, do you think Governor Paterson should resign?
I think that we must wait until the inquiry is over. I think that there has been an announced investigation. We should see where that goes. I think that what he has done showed a real commitment to putting the policies he believes in above his own politics, and I think that we should give him the credit for that today and not muddy the waters on whether or not there ought to be more. I'll take one more. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.